that would cover up any of the dead people and turn them into a necromorph. Hi, I'm Glen Schofield, creator and director of Deadspace.
Oh, that's definitely not the same guy.
Game of all time. Along the way, I had to break some rules, make some new ones, and really redefine how I make video games.
Yo, I thought that was gonna be the Stone Cold Steve Austin intro.
I started thinking about Deadspace around 2005 to do a prototype that everybody would approve. We actually took the dev kit of the Xbox, a lot more memory, a lot more of everything, and we filled it with just 3 rooms with spinning lights and, you know, fans and everything, because we wanted to just see what it would look like. And then we found out after that it was easy to actually give it to the engineers, and then they knew exactly what we wanted. By accident, we found a good way to develop and create newer engines, because they saw what we wanted and they were able to make it. My #1 goal was to scare the heck out of one person. I wanted to make the scariest game. You know, you have to go in and go, I want to make the scariest game ever. Right? You don't go in and say, I want to make the 3rd scariest. But I also wanted a game that was exactly what I wanted to make. You know, I had made a lot of games that people wanted me to make, and I was happy doing them because making video games. But this one, I wanted to really make my creative side just really
Original
happy.
key?
So
Origin
you
key.
can see it in the end product. It was just really a handcrafted game. Some of my influences to make Deadspace from the game industry were definitely the Resident Evil series. And Resident Evil 4 had just come out. One of the things I would say to the team is we're going to make Resident
You could tell they were
Evil,
inspired.
and you got it right away. Resident Evil 4 is one of my top 5 games of all time. And
I'm not surprised you're saying that.
The mood was impressive sometimes. It was dreadful, but it was, I don't know, I just got caught up in it. I was always worried about what was around the corner, but I always wanted to see what was.
You could definitely see some seedlings, seeds from that game.
And that thing was so scary and so hard that when I finally got it,
Not a bad thing.
Cheering, and that's a different kind of scary. There's this tension in playing, and then there's this like running away and all. But the moment that the dog jumped out in Resident Evil 1 still goes down as probably top 5 scariest moments in video game history. Video games is what pushed me to want to make another video game, and I think because I thought that video games hadn't yet become as scary as movies, at least overall. Now, I will say that Silent Hill, the town and the whistle and the nurses and, oh my God, the feeling in that room when it would go from nice to awful, things that would influence me in creating tension or dread or oppression or whatever it is. I look to movies and horror science fiction. At the top there is...
Well, this guy seems very passionate about it.
The idea of a spaceship going to hell. Man, that's something just crazy. And I wanted to create something like that. I found Event Horizon to be successful in creating the storytelling that was just done in the backgrounds. One of the characters is standing with their back to the cockpit, and a light goes on, and the glass behind it is just covered in blood, and it's not normal looking. It looks like just something awful's happened, and this character here has no idea. And I wanted to get that feeling somehow all throughout the game. We wanted you to have moments of relaxation, but not too much. The sound design in horror movies is one of my favorite aspects of making the game. I had such a good time working with Don Vecker, who is my longtime friend and collaborator, and we won a ton of awards on the sound design because the sound is so important in a video game to me. And in a lot of games, sound design was like sort of the thing that came in last, wasn't that important. Oh, we ran out of memory, we don't have a lot. But right from the start, we said sound design and the music and the audio are key. One in particular that really got me was the bar train room. Don Vecker was telling me one day, he's like, Glenn, I was going in the bar train, we went under the bay, and it's the worst sound in the history of man, or something like that. And I'm like, record it. Next day, he's hanging out the BART train, getting the sound when it's in the tunnel and everything. And he plays it for me, and we have these really nice sound rooms. It was like screeching, and I'm like, oh man, it's great, you know? Because what we were looking for is how can we scare people just with sound? No monster, no nothing. So, you're in 0G in the game. You get into an airlock, and it's down, quiet again. Then you open the door, and it's just like... And people are running in the room. They're
my
just
God.
trying to get out of that room. It's so awesome. That was such a thrill for us, because that was a great way to now realize that we can use sound even more.
What did this game get when it first came out? That shit was a 10 out of 10, right?
Deadspace were no HUD, character never talks. We were going to do dismemberment. All big moments are going to be interactive, and everything is going to run through the filter of innovation, meaning everything that we do in the game
96
should be innovated on, whether it's the HUD or the things that we called out or not. Even just his look is something you've never seen before. The stomp, and that's just a simple melee. With Resident Evil 4, one thing that we wanted to do was, you know, you walk, and then you want to shoot, you got to stop. And that's what made it really scary. But I also thought that sometimes took me out, because I'm like, no, I want to be running and shooting. I want to get away from the character. So that's what we did. Well, I didn't want him to stop and have to shoot. I wanted him to be able to turn, shoot, just like you would in real life. That just was a nice place to innovate. One thing with the enemies, we didn't want to have a place where the door opened and there were the enemies. They were just always there or something. We wanted it to be real. We wanted it to be semi-random. So we have this system of vents, but it wasn't just a spawning point. If we had a vent here and a vent here, depending on where the character was, is where the enemy came out. So what we were trying to do in many cases was the enemy would come out of vent and we go, oh shoot, back up. That starts another enemy coming out of the other vent. Just by innovating a little bit on the way spawn points are, you can really get something special. We wanted you to feel like you were Isaac. That's why you don't see a lot of HUD up. We're talking about HUDs, and somebody said, you know, I once thought I saw a HUD on the back of a scuba diver's back. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. I'm in deep water. That's where the idea came from. It's like, because I kept saying, how do we put it on the character? How do we put it on the character? One of the engineers realized that there were times that Isaac was getting killed, and you would see his back, and it would still have green on it. So the engineer went in and made sure that every time Isaac died, that the thing went red, and that you would just see parts on his back. I love that. I love that when
Damn, dude, that's gruesome.
When anybody comes up with just something to make the game better. The main character, Isaac, was not going to talk. You had to try and make a character that didn't talk not look like he was always just taking orders, like he was a person on himself. That came from Half-Life 2. We just wanted to have sort of the Gordon Freeman feel in the game, so character never talked. The other rule was we were going to do dismemberment, the thing that we built the game on. So, changed the way that the enemies were designed. It changed the way every single weapon was done, because now they had to be something that could chop off arms and legs. Isaac dying is purely two systems. Enemy system attacking a character that has dismemberment. The death animations weren't pre-baked. Each one was different based on where the enemy was or how the enemy killed you or however it happened. He may cut off.
Oh, that's gross.
He may cut off his legs. That's all. It's all. So
It was super gory.
Different. So the death scenes, they ended up being like a feature. The thing that changed a little bit over time in developing the game was actually the length of the death, because we realized what a fun thing we had. So we just took two great systems and had at it. So I wanted to get as many points as we could in the arms and legs and everything so that it felt really real. Like, I don't want to chop here and his wrist falls off. Yeah, this here is the all the notes from my animation director, Chris Stone. He took all the notes from the meetings that we had, because this one here
What
is
happened
all
to
about
this guy?
dismemberment. And you can see the different points that we were talking about. This is how we started. And then you can see we number 2. And then we got more and more complicated as time went on and technology got better. Well, you can just see that the care that went into just dismemberment was something really special. Interactive moments. There are no cutscenes in the game. So we're trying to tell the story through video logs, but also what Isaac does. You know, one of the main things with this game was trying to come up with really cool, big, interactive scenes.
I want to know where these guys went. Maybe this article will tell me. Original Deadspace staff react to the new remake positively. Well, that's good. Deadspace original creator Glen has tweeted that he is excited to see the recent announcement remake. Following the reveal of a Deadspace remake at EA Play, Glen took to Twitter to react to the game. Glen is considered one of the lead developers behind Deadspace. Is this guy? Glen? I think it is Glen, right? Assuming it is him. So fans were hoping to see positive reaction from him, considering what happened to Visceral Games. So Visceral Games was who I don't know the lore. See what happened. Oh. Damn, that sucks. So they stopped. This right here, EA is chiefly interested in their intellectual property, their IP, having published it for so many years and paid royalties to developers. They buy the developers so they no longer have to pay royalties. When the value of the IP begins to decline, they close the studio. What? So they must have closed the studio they were making. Damn, that really sucks. What did he say? Directing the original Dead Space was one of the highlights of my career. Excited to see EA Motive Studio team does with it. This is a new studio. What have they made? Games has Motive done. They made Star Wars Battlefront 2, Star Wars Squadrons. That's it. I mean, Battlefront 2 wasn't a bad game at all. Squadrons. I can't say I played that one. That's so weird. Now they're going to a single player game. Glen said directing the original Dead Space was one of the highlights of my career. Excited to see what the EA Motive Studio team does with it. Although the message is short, it's clear that Glen has no ill will towards the game being remade and has positive memories of previously working on it. Another Twitter user also pointed out the scene in the trailer referenced Glen as a part of the Glenmatics on the wall say these guys, I don't know how to pronounce that fucking name. Wow. That sucks.
Because they're really complicated to make. One that we came upon almost made us break our rule because it was so hard that we almost just said, well, let's just have him drag Isaac and we'll just shoot. And it was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to break our rule just for one. One that led to a lot of work, a lot of changes in the way that we do things, and a lot of ways that we still do work was the drag tentacle. This was a problem that was so big and so hairy for us that it kind of stopped us in our tracks for a month. The drag tentacle was meant to be a medium moment. Well, medium thing within the game. We're going to do it once. The tentacle comes out, grabs you, and then pulls you down on the ground, and then you die if you get caught by it. But as we're getting into it, we're realizing that no, Isaac would want to shoot. He would want to be on the ground and pulled and shoot. You don't think anything's going to happen to you, because I think just before that we had a scare. And so we wanted you to kind of instantly go, geez, that was pretty scary. And then you walk through this door, and within a couple of seconds, this thing comes out and grabs you. And that moment, just when it grabs you, I want it to be one of the
This guy doesn't want you
because it flips
breathing
right
at all, huh?
And you can't get away from it. You have to shoot it through. That wasn't just about animation. That was about technology. Finding the target and being able to wrap around, grab the leg by the ankle, which is what we wanted. So we had to create this tentacle that kind of figured out where you were. We had to create falling on my back, and we get the sounds for it, all this stuff. Went through the lists. Okay, animators, you're going to be animating the thing, come and grab. You guys are building the jag tentacle. Okay, you know what it's got to do. It's got to be animated and grab the foot. And everybody had their list of things to do. I went away for a few days on business trip. When I came back, nothing was working, but yet all the stuff was there, right? And it was done right. It was done good. But they're like, Glenn, we did everything you asked, but it's a mess. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, it is. You know, it is. After just kind of making a whole bunch of mistakes for a couple of weeks, we realized there's got to be a better way.
So that was Glen, dude. That really sucks. But as long as he's happy about it, I mean, what are you gonna do? Everybody has to move on eventually, I guess. Deadspace is definitely scary, but the scariest monster of it all is EA. Sheesh. It's utterly heartbreaking to see this guy open his heart up and dissect every tiny detail about the love that went into this game, only to have EA shut it all down after they ruled 3. Capitalism.
The tentacle to come in, grab the thinking about it. So all these things then started coming in as layers. So started thinking about how the heck do we get the tentacle to come in, grab the leg, picks him up, throws him on the ground, the sound hits, because all that could be slightly different. I could be there in the hallway, or I could be to the left, or I could be to the right. Realized I had to do one thing at a time. All right, guys, just animate the drag tentacle coming out of the hole, and it grabs him by the leg. And they're like, yeah, but the sound's like, just do that part. Came back, that worked. Then we came back and said, okay, the next thing, animate him being picked up and thrown onto the ground on his back. And they're like, yeah, but then he shoots. I'm like, no, let's just do this part. Now everybody was starting to get it. Oh, when you do everything at once, you're not sure why it's not working. When you layer it and you break it down, you peel the onion peel, you keep, you add one, you add one, you add one, and then you hit a spot where it's not working. Now you can focus everybody just on that spot and get through it a lot quicker. I started calling it layering. Layering management. There's probably a term for it, but that for us, we still call it, we gotta
what a smart guy.
Layers. We gotta do this in layers, guys. And nowadays, most of the guys on my team will know that this is a layered problem. And that started back on Deadspace. And so we threw him on the ground, and we realized that now he's dragging him. And we're dragging him for a long way because we wanted you to have some way of shooting. So this is kind of naive, I think, at the time, too. We thought, well, if he throws you on your back, we'll just play like one of the moves of you shooting the different weapons while you're standing, but you're kind of on your back, and we'll have him pull. And we put that in there, and it looked terrible. So we realized then that we have to animate all his moves on his back, shooting all the different weapons, just for this one scene that someone told me lasted about 40 seconds. We had to remake all of his shooting mechanics and some struggling mechanics. It was daunting. We had to put a team on the animation, then we realized the tentacle would have to be blown up and broken, and it could be anywhere along that long way. So there was just so much work that went into it. So we started layering on all the issue. Then when it was all done, completely done, that's when we went back and we added the special effects on top of it, throwing them on the ground, the sound of him hitting, and all that. And then we were able to put the triggers in correctly, because now we knew all the different places that the character would be and could be. We probably had anywhere between 15 and 22 people working on the drag tentacle at any time. And I remember, you know, people coming in and asking me, Glenn, are you sure you really want to do this? We cut 2 other things just to get that in. I can't tell you what we cut, because I don't care. Right, that drag tentacle was really cool. You know, during the drag tentacle moment and all the lessons that we learned from it, some of the stuff that came out of that were just a sense of pride. Now they felt like they could take on anything. And the rest of the game after that was, I don't want to say easier, but there was like, hey, there's a challenge. Let's break this.
This guy came back from vacation. The studio was in shambles. He came back and did his fucking job, bro. That's amazing. He said, no, let's build let's layer this shit one by one. Wow, bro. And on top of all that, what he did was boosted morale and boosted the confidence of his team. That's what a true director should do. That's amazing.
Down into layers and see what we can do, you know? By doing stuff like this, we were more efficient. We saved time. We saved money. We can make more game, because we knew that we had a way that could break down any problem. I like the ones that are hard, because I'll say to the guys, do you think another studio would do this? And they say, no, nobody can take that. I'm like, good. Having an overarching desire to make something great and to have quality be your number one thing is the biggest lesson. You may say, oh, well, you should always be that way. And it's like, yes, but there are times when you have budget cuts or you have changes, you don't have the right people, and you have to let down your guard a little bit. We shipped the game 2 weeks early because we had gotten all our bugs. We had gotten all the way down to C bugs. The game came out, and then we won. I'll never forget, the biggest one was sitting at the DICE Awards, which is the big one for us. And when they called our name, I'll never forget this, the feeling of validation kind of just said, it's okay to go make another one now. I founded Sledgehammer Games with my partner, Michael Condrey, July 21st of 2009.
What? Oh, so he's part of the Call of Duty?
We made 3 games. Modern Warfare 3, Advanced Warfare, and then we made World War II. The cool thing about
he was a part of that
Warfare
team?
3 was we also won Action Game of the Year. So we won Deadspace and then Modern Warfare 3, so we got them back to back. When I think back about Deadspace, and I think back on its origins, which was just me.
This guy must be a beast.
Talking to Paul Lee about making a game. I can't believe 10 years later, it's become something I never
fucking fly on my table.
A real highlight of my career has been, you know, making Deadspace and then what it's brought since. I've been playing more of the types of games that I'm making right now. That doesn't mean I haven't been writing. I still write horror stuff, and I've got quite a few stories, and I enjoyed making Deadspace so much that, you know, hopefully someday I'll make one of those games again.
Damn, that guy was really cool. He's really passionate about the game. That's fucking badass.